The Environmental Justice Network held quarterly meetings, and they held a quarterly meeting in our area in the fall of 2012. That was the first time I had ever heard of the Environmental Justice Network, let alone the things that they do. And I got involved with asking questions, and we organized as a community. And anytime we needed resources, they were always there.
And then we also came in contact with the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network. And we began to learn that through collaboration and participation with different organizations that we had more firepower.
So going to the EJ Summit, the first year I went there, I didn't know we had a right to know things. So when we went before our commissioners about the landfill for Capstone, which is right over here across the river, used to be International Paper, Champion International. So when we went before our commissioners about it, and they were saying, well, you all came and didn't tell anybody you were coming. First of all, this is a public meeting. We don't have to tell anybody we're coming, but you do know we have a right to know. And when I said that, automatically they wanted to meet with us after the meeting. But had I not been going to the EJ Summit and going to the different sessions that they had, I wouldn't have known that we had a right to know. And if they didn't tell us, then we could file a lawsuit.
So after I had met up with Gary Grant, he opened up all these doors. The fight wasn't over, but he had to put his attention to someplace else. So he told me that I would be dealing with Naima Mohammed. He told me that I could trust her, that she knows what she's doing, and she'll be there for whatever I need.
Okay, around 2010 or 11, in that time frame, when we decided we had to take legal action, we contacted, of course, the UNC Center for Civil Rights, and they came, and the Justice Network was with them. They came and they were with us from day one. The first largest meeting we had prior to going to court, they were there, and they've been with us ever since. And of course, establishing that relationship with EJ, I tried as best I can to stay in touch and network. So by being in touch with the EJ Network, we are networking with other people with similar problems. But they have been with us since day one, helping us.
And people would come from all over the state to come and help us with this problem that we have. I've never heard them say, well, we have to be funded to do A, B, C, D, E. They just said when. No talk ever about money. They give us all of the resources that we ever ask for. If they don't have the answers, they direct us to someone that does or can advise us as to what we needed to do next.
I've been affiliated with Naima now, I guess, since maybe 2002, maybe 2003. And she's been a rock for not only me, but for all of us impacted community people, because from her experience and her connection, she brought us resources that we didn't have access to. And she's a community organizer, and she trained us how to go out to communities and talk with people, get people engaged, get them involved, get them to understand the importance of them taking a stand in decisions that affect their lives, our lives. And that's what she did. Since I met her, she's been a real rock for all of us, bringing us in support, lawyers, to just not necessarily represent us, but to give us information, telling us what our rights are. Having us to work with other organizations to highlight their issues and them helping us highlight our issues, because all of us are fighting environmental issues and injustices.
Being there is like a family connection, because the same people basically come every year, and then the next year you meet new people. And it is a network situation, because see, when we were working with Enviva, and I called Naima, I said, Naima, we need a lawyer. And the next day, Peter Gilbert called me. And the next day, Peter Gilbert was here. And when we finally met with the commissioner, not only was Peter here, but Mark Darson came with him. So that's the benefit of being part of the EJ, because it is a connection.
We learned through the different summit at the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network annual summit, that there was vital information that we could come back home and share with our community to get more people involved on a regular basis. And so it really changed the forward movement of the organization.
But I've been encouraging people, because see, when we were a concerned citizen, we were really together. It used to be about 5 or 6 of us would go every year, so that we could go to each session and bring back, you know, what we've learned. So when we had a breakout, I would go one place and somebody else would go another one, and then when we came back for our meeting, then we could share what we'd learned at the EJ Summit. So it's an awesome thing.
If we had not tapped into the resources of the North Carolina Environmental Justice Network, where would we be? Would we have this facility here? Would we have been able to tell our story in a way? Would we have been able to participate in some of the environmental workshop around our nation? Would we have been able to create the diary so we can collect that data from the resident? Because we find out the more voices that are involved in the story, the more effect it has.
They give us all of the resources that we ever ask for. If they don't have the answers, they direct us to someone that does or can advise us as to what we needed to do next. And they're just a super group, if I can use that term. And rather than impersonate anyone, I'm just going to say the whole Environmental Justice Network as a group. They are a super group.